Karen's audacity reached a shocking extreme when a fake HOA patrol tore down my American flag, assuming their boldness, intimidation, and fabricated authority could dictate my actions. She believed that aggression and entitlement would intimidate me into submission. What she did not anticipate was that my neighbor, a decorated veteran, immediately reported the violation to the judge advocate, turning her audacious destruction into legal accountability and public humiliation. It began early one morning when I noticed the HOA patrol, led by Karen's enforcers, approaching my property. The audacity of these individuals was staggering. They believed they could dictate my actions on private property, destroy personal property, and intimidate me without consequence. Karen, as the orchestrator, assumed that her status in the HOA granted her authority that, in reality, did not exist. As they advanced, they focused on my American flag, a symbol of pride and personal freedom. Karen had ordered its removal, asserting that it violated HOA rules she had interpreted loosely to justify aggressive intervention. Her audacity relied entirely on intimidation and the assumption that I would comply or remain passive. I calmly observed the patrol as they reached the flagpole, documenting their movements with security cameras and phone recordings. The audacity they relied on to assert dominance immediately became their liability, as each action was being captured in precise detail. Karen's boldness, intended to intimidate, now threatened to expose her and the HOA to legal consequences. Before the patrol could act further, I contacted my neighbor, a decorated veteran with intimate knowledge of legal channels and military advocacy. I explained the situation, and he immediately intervened, notifying the judge advocate, who oversees military-related civil issues and legal protections for veterans' rights. Karen's audacious plan, predicated on intimidation and false authority, now faced formidable opposition. The fake HOA patrol began tearing down the flag, but the moment it touched the ground, law enforcement and military legal representatives arrived. Karen's audacity, once intimidating to the community, had triggered immediate scrutiny. Her boldness, which she assumed was a tool for manipulation, now ensured accountability, citation, and public exposure. Karen attempted to argue that the flag violated community standards, but her claims were unfounded, audaciously overreaching, and legally baseless. Officers and legal representatives documented every motion, gesture, and statement. Her audacious aggression became the very evidence used to hold her accountable for destruction of property, intimidation, and harassment. Neighbors gathered, observing the spectacle. Karen's audacity, previously feared, collapsed publicly under the weight of legal scrutiny and moral accountability. The community witnessed firsthand the consequences of reckless aggression cloaked in entitlement and boldness. Every word, every destructive action, and every attempt at intimidation was recorded as proof of her audacity backfiring. By mid-afternoon, Karen and her HOA enforcers were issued citations for destruction of private property, trespassing, and harassment. Her audacious attempt to enforce control through fabricated authority had spectacularly failed. Cedar Pines residents, long familiar with her boldness, now saw the full consequences of reckless entitlement. Reflecting on the incident, the lesson was unmistakable. Audacity, when misapplied against law-abiding citizens, veterans, or protected symbols, collapses spectacularly under preparation, legal authority, and moral accountability. Karen's assumption that aggression and boldness could override property rights and personal freedom led directly to humiliation, legal consequences, and public exposure. By evening, the American flag was restored, the HOA enforcers removed from the premises, and Karen's audacious interference fully documented and actionable in court. Her boldness, intended to intimidate and assert dominance, had transformed into the mechanism of her public downfall. Cedar Pines residents learned a critical lesson. Audacity without legality, foresight, and respect for others always collapses when confronted by authority, preparation, and documentation. Karen's reckless aggression, once feared, had become the instrument of her humiliation and legal accountability. Her audacious plan, intended to dominate and control, had failed completely, ensuring exposure, citation, and public disgrace. Boldness unchecked by law or moral consideration is never safe, as Karen's spectacular collapse demonstrated.